Welcome back to Poker Tonight. Scott Huff alongside Joe Seabach, and joining us right now via Skype is Poker News owner and high-stakes player Tony G. Tony, we know it's very late where you are. Thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm just glad to be here.
Well, let's get right to it. The biggest story in poker right now is this Isildur character. Now, last week you offered to stake him in live events. However, there has been some talk that you've been backing him all along online this year. Any truth to that at all?
I'm unable to confirm that that rumor. We were in discussions with him previously, so anything's possible, but I can't confirm it. I'm not in a position to confirm.
All right, Tony. Well, last year, of course, you wrote in your blog that he was Victor Bloom. Then you kind of backed off a little bit from that. Of course, recently we've heard from British player Luke Schwartz that it is Victor Bloom. So you obviously in your position seem better than anyone maybe to be in a spot where you could confirm that it was or it wasn't him. So once and for all, is it Victor Bloom?
Let's just go back to the first part. Well, first I guessed it was him. I didn't know who it was, so I just made a guess, and that was a guess. Once I found out who it is, then I couldn't talk about it anymore because I promised that to that person. But so initially I was guessing, and then I knew the truth, and we've made a pact with the gentleman that we're not going to disclose his identification. So we're going to keep to that. And I'm sorry, I cannot confirm it, but I can definitely say I know who it is, and I have his number, and we talk, and I love the guy, and I hope he does really well.
Okay, well at this point you're obviously, you said that you can confirm that you know who it is. How long do you think that this is going to be quiet, or how long do you want to try to keep it quiet?
Well, I mean, it's as long as he wants to keep it quiet, when he wants to come out of the closet or whatever you want to say, but then it'll be time to make the announcement who it is. But who knows? It could be anyone. It could be any one of those million great poker players who sit at home and play. And so, I think it's better to be as a mystery, and time will tell.
And do you think that he's going to come out at some point? Does it sound like it's something that will happen? It's a matter of time, though.
I think it's definitely going to happen, and once the right deal is done, I think it's going to happen. But I think it's just not the right time now, and I think that he also needs to get some more runs on the board, and win some serious money online.
Right. I keep pressing, but I don't know that it's going to go anywhere. So
I would ask, how good of a guesser have you been about other things in the past?
Me?
Yeah, how good of a guesser are you, percentage-wise? Like, how often do you guess things right, and how often do you guess them wrong?
Oh, I mean, in blackjack, I can be pretty good.
Well, something that we can clearly talk about, because it's right out there in the open, is this kid's game. I mean, everyone's been railing these on the online sites. We've been reading the hand histories and the reports from the different news sites. What most impresses you about his game?
He has no fear. He's still fresh on the scene. He has no fear. He doesn't have much experience, and I mean, he's just a genius. I mean, he's just one of the most sort of best players I've ever seen, with pure raw talent, and no sort of idea about bankroll or money management, and no fear about losing $5 million when you have 4.9. So it's amazing.
Do you think youth might be a factor there at all to his fearlessness?
It could be a factor, but I think some people are just like that. I used to know someone like Eric123 from the early days. We used to play together, and he was like someone like him. But Eric had the control, early on, and I think he was a brilliant player, in his time, and he's still a brilliant player now. But you need to have bankroll control. To be a poker player, it's not enough just to be the best. You need to be a very good businessman too. You need to be able to manage your money, and you need to learn about odds and mathematics and Kelly criteria for betting, for example. You need to understand what you can bet to, and if you don't, I mean, it's an eventuality before anyone in the world will go broke. It's going to happen if you don't understand what you're doing.
Right. Well, Tony, we're talking a little bit about youth. Can you confirm that he is under 21? Is that something that we could get out of you?
Yeah, I can confirm that. I'll confirm he's under 21, and he's from Sweden. So.
Okay. Well, with that said, at least, we know that he is under 21 and that he is in Sweden. Would you personally be willing to bring him over and stake him in the big game at the Bellagio once he turns 21?
You know what? the big game at the Bellagio, I think I've played on a few occasions. I've never found much value there. I don't find much value playing him, but I would face him. I mean, I've made an offer for him and to play in a party poker game that we're going to have here, the big game in London, with him wearing a mask. So that, you know, his identity doesn't have to come out. I think that he could start playing live, but I think he'd have to wear a mask, and I think that's fine. I mean, you know, he could also make the stars, the big game, the Poker Stars big game. Maybe we should watch out for him. I know they're going to film, and you never know. He could turn up to that big game, you know, and if Poker Stars could assure to protect his identity. So that's what's the most important factor, that, you know, we have to protect the kid because that's what he wants. But I think he's ready to make live appearances too. But he needs to get, you know, he needs to have protection. He doesn't want to be exposed.
Right. So you're saying he might show up to the party poker event in a mask. I mean, this is a lot of build-up. Do you think when it's revealed who he is that it's going to satisfy all of this anticipation?
I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, the party poker game is one. That's the London game, but also in America, you know, if it's possible for him to play in that big game the big game that Poker Stars are developing now, you know, so that would be also exciting because I understand that's going to go on Fox Sports and that will be a huge show. So I mean, or the high stakes poker, you know, I mean, if they can agree that he can have a mask, I'm sure he'll play those games. So it's just up to the people, and I mean, I'll be talking to them and the people that run it. So I think that, yeah, it would be good to, you know, to get him a good mask and have him playing these live games too, so people can see him live.
Wow, so Masked Man is no longer a metaphor. It's an actual thing here. Well, finally, you've been pretty outspoken about Phil Hellmuth and where you consider his mental state to be these days. But, you know, regardless of that, we read that on your blog. Do you still think that Phil Hellmuth is one of the top no-limit hold'em tournament players in the world today? Or do you think that goes maybe to someone else like Carlos Mortensen, who just took down his third WPT title?
Yeah, it's so interesting, like Phil Hellmuth and Carlos, and these guys are not, they're not even decent online poker players, you know, but they've got something about them that can make them brilliant in certain situations. And I think that it's that there's so much diversity in poker, and you can never say everyone's got a chance. But I could not say that Phil is the best player in the world, unfortunately. You know, I think he might have been at a particular stage where not many people were playing the game. But right now, with so much exposure, there's so many better players than Phil and than Carlos, than me. But it's such a volatile environment, poker, that, you know, players are changing all the time. So ultimately, the best players will be who have the biggest bankrolls. That's all that counts, I think.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll find out whether or not you're a good guesser. Thanks for being here.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Bye.